Trackrock Stables and Campground is a campground that I've been trying to go to and planning to go to for a couple of years. My brother, who passed away back in February, Randy, he and we really wanted to go to this one. We talked about this one a lot. Trackrock is in Blairsville, Georgia, and close to that you've got Lake Chattooga, you got Lake Nautilus, you've got the mountains to go hiking, you've got Hilton Creek Falls, it's close to Helen, it's close to Brasstown Ball, it's close to Ellijay and all the apple orchards. Blairsville is just centrally located to a lot of things that interest me. I'm not talking about your typical resort campground that's in a flat area with no trees and has cement slabs and they're side by side, fairly close to each other, and maybe located on a creek. That's not Trackrock. Trackrock is actually built up the side of a mountain. It's in the woods. It's just a beautiful area and good hiking and a lake. The campground sites are all have full hookups. There's no cable TV, but it's got water and 50 amp and sewer. So it's got everything you need. There's several sections to the campground, plus there's the cabins that are on the lake. We stayed in the Hilltop section, which is up on top of the hill, the highest one. So you got it's a long walk down from the Hilltop section to the lake and to the office, but it's also the area that I would want to go to the next time I go there. It's private. There's no traffic around you. These campsites there must be 10 or 15 campsites on the Hilltop. If you go, try to get a site on the hillside. There is a path through the woods down to the lake that my grandson Preston he would walk up and down that, and he said it's a lot shorter, but if you walk by the road, it's a good little hike.
Stop recording.
Our camper is the gray and white open range light, and I'm pulling it with the gray F350 Super Duty, which you're seeing in the video. Up on the Hilltop, they have maybe 8 or 10 garbage cans that are in special frames that have a 2x4 bar that holds the trash can lids in place, and you just swivel that bar off, that 2x4 off when you want to use the trash cans, and then put it back on when you leave, so animals can't get into the trash cans. The campground on the Hilltop is it's flat. There's no problem leveling my camper.
GoPro stop capture.
Ingrid and Kyle and Preston, they camped a couple of sites down from us, so we had a weekend together to celebrate Kyle's birthday. Seems like every year we go camping on Kyle's birthday. They're fun to camp with. Here's Cheryl and Kyle and Ingrid playing, what do you call that thing? Bago? I forgot the name of that thing. Anyway, when I went out and joined them, Cheryl and I beat Ingrid and Kyle. So just for the record, we beat them. There's so many good restaurants in Blairsville. Maybe I'll get into that later in this video. I think right now, coming up, you're going to see a picture of the lake. They've got a nice sized lake here in the campground, and Preston fished it, and he caught so many bass and brim in this lake. So that lake is full of fish. Of course, Preston's a good fisherman. He said he was the only one on the lake catching fish, but I can believe it. He can catch fish when nobody else can. Most of the campers that we met in this campground come here every year, and they were coming from Florida and all the states around. It's a well-known campground, and most of the people were not first-timers. Most of the people were regular campers at this campground. The lake has a floating dock out in the middle that people swim out to, and these people were other campers. They were used to that floating dock being out there, and there were a lot of people swimming in the lake. The grounds are well kept. They're just beautiful. And you can see in this picture, the stables is down at the bottom of the hill there. The stables is really what drew me to this campground in the first place. There aren't many stables in Georgia that have a reputation like Trackrock does. Now they probably have 50 or 60 horses there. Some of them are just boarded there, but they've got a good many horses there for rent. I've always liked horses and never had one, never done any riding, but liked them and wanted to. And so the more I found out about Trackrock, the more I wanted to go there and do a trail ride. So I did get to on Saturday. I got to do a 2-hour trail ride, which turned into a 3-hour trail ride because one old fellow about my age fell off and got hurt, and I never was able to get an update on his status. I just know that they carried him off in an ambulance. But nobody else got hurt, and I did fine. Oddly enough, our names were similar. I think his name was Gary and my name's Terry. So when they started talking it up before we got off the trail ride and to the families and telling that an elderly gentleman by the name of Gary came off his horse and got hurt, well, of course, my family thought they said Terry and they thought it was me. But they were wrong. I was fine. I had really been concerned about getting on and getting off the horse, so I looked at a lot of YouTube videos and tried to teach myself here at home how to do it. You can see in this picture that they have platforms built to help you get on, and it makes it so easy to get on. So that was no problem. Now coming back, I didn't know if they would use them or not, but when the trail ride ended, they did pull people up to the platforms and let them get off, but I asked them if I could try to get off without the platform, and they let me in, and I made it. I didn't fall. When I hit the ground, the lady said, "You did it, cowboy." We didn't have a whole lot of instructions beforehand, but they did tell us about how to hold the ropes and a little bit about how to ride, maybe 3 or 4 minutes worth.
Straight, your saddle's not going to go anywhere, okay? However, if you slouch or lean to one side, we can't get the saddle tight enough to keep it from moving. If they all want to trot. Will everybody on this ride, will y'all all want to trot, or is there anybody that's going to want to just walk? Is your saddle straight? You want to pick up your reins? Your reins are the most important piece of equipment that you'll use today. Your reins will have a knot in them. The purpose of this knot is that is the only reason it's there. It is to keep it from going to the ground if you accidentally drop them, okay? So, but please don't drop them. All right, so you want to keep the reins about the length that I have them now. You don't want them too tight like that. It causes the bit to rise up in their mouth and hits the roof of their mouth. So leave it about like that, but you also want it short enough that you can pull straight back to your belly button in order to stop the horse, okay? If you catch yourself going this way, this, your reins are too long, okay? So straight back to your belly button, all right? If I tell you that your reins are too long and I ask you to shorten them, what I'm asking you to do is literally slide your hand towards the horse's neck, okay? That makes the reins shorter. If I tell you that your reins are too short and to please lengthen them, I want you to slide your hand up towards the knot, okay? If the knot happens to be where a good place for you to hold, that's just a coincidence, but it is okay for you to hold the knot if it happens to be in the...
At this point, I was glad to have this platform because I really had no experience getting on a horse, and so I was glad that this was there to make it easy on me. But now that it's all over with, I wish I had been able to try one time just getting on the horse without the platform. I did get off it without the platform, but I never did get on it without the platform. When I got on the horse, after I got on the horse, they tried to adjust the I don't know what you call them, but they tighten each side of the of the saddle, and she really had a hard time doing that with me sitting on it. So she rode me around and let me get off, and then she was able to tighten that saddle on both sides. I talked to one man who said he had come off the horse one time too, but it was his own fault because he had only tightened one side of the saddle, and at some point the saddle slipped and he came off the horse. And that would be the reason that after we rode for a little while, at least up into the mountain, we hadn't been riding very long, they stopped us all and they readjusted everybody's saddle to make sure they were tight. And then we went on and continued the trail ride. My horse's name was Milo, and I didn't realize it at the time, but he's one of their better trained horses and good with people. They told me when I was getting on him, "You've got Milo. Everybody else is going to be jealous." And a lot of these people that were doing the trail ride come regularly, so they knew the horses and they knew Milo. Milo, when I first noticed why he was better than I expected is when we'd come to a turn in the woods, we'd be going around a tree, and I could have scraped one of my legs against a tree, but Milo, before he'd go around the tree, would turn his head and look at me to make sure I was okay. And I think that was unusual. So it made me appreciate Milo. He was a good horse. I asked the lady that was helping why they chose Milo for me, and she just says size. So somehow my size matched me up with Milo. I don't know any details there, but they do pick the horse to fit the person, and I guess the size of the person must be important. There is a limit. They make sure you know when you're signing up for the ride that they don't want anybody riding the horses that weighs over 220 pounds. So I barely squeaked by. We're just about ready to leave on the trail ride at this point. Good. I have a GoPro and I got some good footage of the trail ride. Most of the time you'll see the white ears sticking up, and that's my horse Milo. But I used the GoPro. I didn't use my mount for my head, and I didn't use my chest mount. I just put it on a strap around my neck so that I could get my hands on it and tell when it was recording and when it wasn't. And one thing about the GoPro is they're voice activated also, so it was fairly easy to use and ride the horse and stay on the horse and not fall off the horse all at the same time. Good job, Milo. Good job. At this point in the trail ride, we were all supposed to make a real sharp right turn and line up in a straight line again. And this is where they were going to tighten our saddles down again, check all the straps, which they did. But what I want to point out right here is you see the gentleman on the horse that's not moving. He's got a blue cap on. He's not wearing a helmet. He's the one that fell off toward the end of the ride and got hurt. And you can tell right here he's not in control of the horse. He doesn't seem to know how to get the horse to go. And I guess the horse can be stubborn, but the man wasn't saying anything to the horse. He wasn't doing anything. So he just really didn't have control of the horse.
He's like, I'm just watching to see what y'all are doing.
I was surprised that they let us trot the horses on trails in the woods. I guess I expected them to maybe let us trot through a pasture, but they let us trot through the trails. I think we trotted 3 times is all, but it was fun. At this point, our guide spotted a deer in the woods, and she was very, very careful to stop us and make sure that the horses were not surprised by the deer, that they saw the deer and were not spooked by him. The deer was a little bit hard to scare off, but he finally took off.
Are you dead? Come on. Go away. You know, I didn't even see him. I just knew that there was one because the way he was acting, but then I saw it. It looked like a little doe, but I don't know where it went. No, she's still right there. I see her. She's just standing there looking at us. Straight. Oh, I see her. Camouflage. She is camouflage. She's just standing there. Just have one hand near your saddle horn, okay? There she goes. You can still see her. Okay, so there's a rock right here that's flush to the ground. Stay to the left of it if you would. It's a little better footing for the horses. And it's right here where I'm at. Oh my goodness. That's the craziest thing. As long as your horse sees her, it's fine.
This was supposed to be a 2-hour trail ride, and I wondered how often the horses would want to drink. We were told not to let them eat the grass, to maintain control and not let them get used to eating. But we're going to let them drink water in this one creek. And these horses, they do this trail ride every day, so they know it. They know it backwards and forwards. They know they're going to drink water here, and they know that there's not another chance that they're going to drink water. So no big surprise to them. But some of the horses didn't want to drink. Some of the horses didn't want to stop drinking. Milo just did great. He just did whatever I told him to do. The trail ride was mostly in the woods, but here you see us going through an open area with no trees, and the sun was very hot. Up in the trees, it was cool. This is the North Georgia mountains, so you can imagine it being cool in the shade, and it was. This is about the area. I did turn around so you could see how many people were behind me and get an idea of the size of our group. So it was about 10 people, maybe a little bit less. This is about where the fella had his accident. We'll be leaving this open area and going back into the woods, and then as we were coming out of the woods into another clearing, this one right here, he didn't come out. So I talked to the guy with the white hat who was behind the fellow that got hurt, and he said it looked like something spooked the horse, maybe a bee or something like that, but something spooked the horse and the guy fell off to the side. And protocol calls for them to not let him move. So that just because it took a long time to deal with the situation doesn't mean that he was hurt seriously. They just would not let him move until the rescue people got there to deal with him, put him on a stretcher, and take him to the hospital to be checked out. So he may or may not have been hurt. I never was able to get a status update on him, so I really don't know at this point. But while we were there waiting, which might have been 30 or 40 minutes, we met up with another trail riding group. We combined with them and headed back to the stables.
Okay, well. As possible, please.
As the large group was leaving this meadow headed back to the stables, we saw the fire and rescue folks show up to get the gentleman that fell off of his horse. So we did get to see their vehicle, and we did get to see them go up into the woods to get him, but by that time we were out of sight, and we actually did not see him come out of the woods. Well, we made it back to the stables, and I can promise you, after sitting on that horse for 3 hours, my butt was ready to get back. And it was very difficult to walk straight once I got off. I mean, it took a while to get my legs back. This is where they were leading all of us up to the platforms to make it easy for us to get off. And I asked this lady in the blue-green shirt if I could get down by myself, and she said sure. So I did. I know it's not pretty, but I made it. And I had wondered if when I hit the ground if I was just going to collapse and fall down again backwards, but nope, I did it. This is when she said, "You did it, cowboy." So that ends the trail ride. It was fun. It was really, really fun. I would
Here's
like to
Terry
go up there
walking
again and
after
do
his
another
horse
trail
ride.
ride.
Look at him. he's got, oh no, Terry.